Alrighty, it's push day today, so we're going to smash out some chest, shoulders, and triceps. As you can see, I've got my cheeky little wrist strap on. This is not necessary. However, I do have a pre-existing wrist injury, and while we never figured out exactly what it was, I do have tiny little chicken wrists in either case, so I like to wrap it every chest day to keep it nice and stable because I do lift heavy, so it's better to avoid any further injury. So we're going to start with a dumbbell bench press, and as always, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 warm-up sets. We're going to do one with a nice light weight to practice form, and then we're going to go into a slightly heavier weight to practice form and lifting a little bit heavier before we go into our 3 working sets. When you're doing a warm-up set, obviously the weight is going to be a little bit light for you. In that case, it's important to still control the weight and use a reasonable tempo for each rep rather than going really fast and potentially lose control of the movement or even risking injury during the warm-up set. Even though it's going to be light, keep it nice and controlled in either case. Alrighty, we did our initial warm-up with the 12s. So now we're going to go in with a second warm-up set with 16s before we jump onto the working sets with the 20s. Alrighty, as with any large compound movement, you want to reduce your injury, so make sure you do it with correct form, with your elbows tucked in rather than being flared out. And of course, keep your butt planted on that bench, and don't forget to keep that core nice and tight as well. Keep your wrists stacked over your forearm. We don't want super intense wrist extension, that's going to fuck you up. If the end of your set doesn't look like that absolute shit show, you're not doing it right. Alrighty, after we've done that, we're going to adjust this bad boy and go in and do some dumbbell shoulder presses as well. Now, when I do these, I actually superset them with unilateral cable lateral raises. So we'll go through both. When I set up the bench, I always chuck it on the number 3. I find the second setting is a little bit too upright for me. So number 3 gives you that really good angle to really help you isolate the front delt. Don't forget your warm-up set. Alrighty, we grabbed our big girl weights. Now, for myself especially, but also a few of my clients, the shoulder can often get a bit crooked when you do things like a shoulder press. Now, that is not inherently a bad thing. It does not mean you're going to injure yourself. Most of the time, any crookiness in the joints is just an indication of fluid buildup. If, of course, it does cause you actual pain when you do the movement, do stop it and start to investigate as soon as you can. However, for the most part, I find that clicking is not really an issue. However, I do find it incredibly distracting when I'm trying to push up a weight that is challenging, and every time I come down, I hear a click. So it can make it a little bit harder to execute the full reps. But other than that, I haven't really had a problem. All right, as I stated, I superset my dumbbell shoulder presses with a lateral raise variation. So here's how I set that up. Go to the cable machine, and if there's any attachment on there, I'll take it off. I just hold on to the carabiner. All right. So when it comes to the setup, I usually have it around the hip or even just a little bit lower. Choose the weight, and you want to grab it with the opposite hand. So the way I like to set these up is I'll grab the ball of the cable, step a little far back, and then I'll hip hinge just a little bit, and I'll actually rotate my arm here outwards so that I'm driving my elbow out, and that'll help me get the shoulder rather than use my arm for movement. I'll hold my core nice and tight, and then up I go. So it seems like the weight is moving surprisingly well today. I know from last week and reps I noted down. First set I got 6 last time. First set today I got 8 and I just got 8 again. So I don't know what kind of loads my shoulders are on, but it is totally a vibe. PSA for everybody out there, please, please, for the love of God, put your weights away when you're done. Please. It makes it so astronomically more convenient for everybody else in the gym to load up whatever weight they need without having to unload the weight that's already on there first because somebody's left it there. And it eliminates the confusion. I don't know how many times I've been training myself or trying to train a client, and I don't know what I can take them through because half the equipment has weights left on it. So you don't know if someone is using that machine and coming back to it, or if someone has just been inconsiderate and left their weights on there. So please, for the love of fucking God, put your weights away when you are done. Thank you. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. This is your isolateral bench press. So while I love a good dumbbell bench, it makes me feel really confident, really strong, and I just find it fun, I like to go ahead and do a couple of extra sets for the chest with a more stable exercise to really help me isolate the chest itself. And usually in that regard, a machine is the best way to go. So I've loaded my weight on, I've got 15s on there, and we're gonna shoot for 10. Because I've already done my flat bench press with the dumbbells, I only do 2 sets of these. Alrighty, it is my dream to be able to pick pop like Terry Crews in White Chicks. So let's go for round 2. Alrighty, next up, place a greater emphasis on the clavicular chest or the upper portion of the chest specifically. I think I win with a incline chest press. Let's move that bad boy up because I'm not that large. Now this machine in particular is actually a 3-in-1, so the shoulder press, an incline press, and a chest press. So you want to make sure that you have it on the right number, which are on the side here. Obviously you can't see that, but I promise they are there. So I'm just gonna move that to the second notch, or the middle notch, which is the incline press. Now, let's just try ourselves, shall we? Alrighty, this is the final chest exercise of the day, and we're doing a high to low fly. Now, the high to low fly is going to help me target the lower chest or the more sternal portion of the chest by bringing my arms down rather than up, which would include more of the upper chest and the delts. So to set these up, use a D handle. Alrighty, we've already set the weight. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab each. We're going to try and get them down here. We're going to step out, hold our core nice and tight, use our leg to stabilize, and we're going to come down. Alrighty, round 2 of 2. We don't want to have too much volume in our chest day or any day, much like we don't want to have too little volume. So I stick to mainly my flat bench as my main chest movement. And then all my other little secondary movements, 2 sets, because that's really all you need if you're pushing hard. And look, like you may often notice in my videos, like I'm going to have a shit explosion. However, let's try to actually avoid the shit explosion and just look like it's going to happen. In cases where I'm doing these flies and I find that I'm struggling to get all the way down or fully contract at the bottom by straightening my arms and bringing them all the way in, I'll usually stop the set. If I feel like it, I'll keep going because partials can still be beneficial when building muscle. But at the end of the day, when you're doing any kind of fly movement, you want to make sure you can try and completely contract by converging your arms all the way into the center. Because if you do that motion, you can feel that your chest is contracting and squeezing, and that's what you want to aim for. Alrighty, 2 tricep exercises, 3 sets of each, and we'll be done. Now, all of my favorite tricep exercises are done with a cable machine, so we're going to go through them. First one is a dual cable push down, so we're going to again get rid of these D handles. Make sure the cables are all the way up. Alrighty, we're going to grab the right with the left, then the left with the right. Hook our arms in, roll our shoulders back, come nice and close. Alright, final exercise of the day, we have katana extensions where we are doing our triceps in an overhead position. Now, I have already done my first set in a separate video for a technique video, so feel free to check that out, it'll be on my YouTube. But for now, let's just get our last 2 sets done. So I have dropped the weight a little bit because my arms are fucked, but let's do it. Alright, and that is my push day done. That is all there is to it. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely feel a bit rooted the day after, especially in the shoulder region, but I have felt like I have experienced a lot of growth in my upper body by doing this workout. As you can see, I push as hard as I can for the most part, which is absolutely what I encourage and recommend whether your goal is weight loss and building muscle or even a bit of both. Pushing hard is going to be one of the key factors you want to focus on. Feel free to give it a try and see how you go.